Hmm? I ain't.
The Fragile States Index is an annual report published by the United States think tank the Fund for Peace and the magazine Foreign Policy since 2005. The list aims to assess states' vulnerability to conflict to collapse, ranking all sovereign states with membership in the United Nations where there is enough data available for analysis. Taiwan, the Palestinian territories, Northern Cyprus, Kosovo, and Western Sahara are not ranked, despite being recognized as sovereign by one or more other nations. Ranking is based on the sum of scores for 12 indicators. Each indicator is scored on a scale of 0 to 10, with 0 being the lowest intensity and 10 being the highest intensity, creating a scale spanning 0–120. Methodology. The index's ranks are based on 12 indicators of state vulnerability, grouped by category: social, economic, and political. Scores are obtained via a process involving content analysis, quantitative data, and qualitative review. In the content analysis phase, millions of documents from over 100,000 English language or translated sources are scanned and filtered through the Fund for Peace's Conflict Assessment Systems tool, which utilizes specific filters and search parameters to sort data based on Boolean phrases linked to indicators, and assign scores based on algorithms. Following cast analysis, quantitative data from sources such as the UN, WHO, World Factbook, Transparency International, World Bank, and Freedom House are incorporated, which then leads to the final phase of qualitative review of each indicator for each country. Considered together in the index, the indicators are a way of assessing a state's vulnerability to collapse or conflict, ranking states on a spectrum of categories labeled sustainable, stable, warning, and alert. Within each bracket, scores are also subdivided by severity. The score breakdown is as follows. All countries in the top 3 categories display features that make the societies and institutions vulnerable to failure. However, the FSI is not intended as a tool to predict when states may experience violence or collapse, as it does not measure direction or pace of change. It is possible for a state sorted into the stable zone to be deteriorating at a faster rate than those in
the last 10, 20 years has been good for most people living in poor countries. They've started to catch up, started to converge with the lucky billion. I'm going to talk about a group of countries where that just isn't true. Not even in the last decade, which for most developing countries was a golden decade. So don't think Malaysia, don't think India, don't think Brazil. Think Mali, Central African Republic, South Sudan, DRC. That's the world we're going to look at. And that world hasn't been converging with the rest of mankind. It's been falling behind, and it's been falling apart. So if we look at just 3 of those countries, Mali, last year, Mali came within days of being taken over and becoming the next Taliban-run Afghanistan. Saved from that by a last-minute military intervention from the French, which the French didn't want to do and was very embarrassing for everyone. Just even more recently, Central African Republic.
The Fragile States Index is an annual report
Musuh aku fikir kayak gitu aja.
For decades, the balance of power between strong states was the dominant issue in discussions of international security. The Cold War, the rise of China, peace in the Middle East. But today, it is fragile states, whose conflicts were once often overlooked, that are seen by many as posing potentially greater threats. Fragile states straddle the thin line between survival and chaos. They suffer from weak governing infrastructures, internal conflict, ethnic tensions, or economic despair. These threats have the potential to spill across borders and jeopardize global stability.
The world is more and more interconnected.
Louise Arbour is a former United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights and president of the International Crisis Group, a leading source for analysis on conflict prevention and resolution.